Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Willoughby. This will be episode 5 of our Tour of the Layout series. Today we find our train that we've been following at Nantahala. It is ready to go up the hill and over to Andrews, so our goal today is to get the helpers on it, get it shoved up the hill, and get it down into the staging yard at Andrews, where we will basically end our tour of the main line. So, again, a full disclosure like the last episode. In between the recordings of episode prior and this episode, I did remove a mod that is behind us on the railroad, and removing that mod changed a bunch of waybills on the railroad. So when I came over to this train the other day to take a look at it, it had a handful of Silva cars that were racked throughout the train. That all came out of the sugar mill. I removed the sugar mill mod from the game in East Whittier to make room for an industrial lead and a plethora of new industries that I am creating in that same space. And so those cars had to get switched out, so I switched those out off camera real quick the other day. And we are back. Train is back together, slightly smaller than it was. We are now 63 cars, 47 62 tons, 32 54 feet. We are here at Nantahala, so let's jump on the helper set and get them in position, and then we will go over the hill. So this is the east end of Nantahala. I don't remember if I mentioned in the last episode, I did expand the siding at Nantahala, and then I put this helper pocket in for the helper sets. This does aid in putting them at the back of the train where they need to be when it is time to use them. The helper sets do run markers on the outer twomost engines. The engines earn their markers if they work in helper service. This is not the first set of engines to have worked in helper service, so there are some random other locomotives in the fleet that do have markers on them. When those come up, I kind of smile and chuckle to myself because I then say, oh, those were in helper service at one point. So if they do shove a train over the hill, I add the marker lights to them, and then they stay on the engines as kind of a trophy of service past, history past, what those engines have done in the past. I think it's kind of a cool little legacy thing for the railroad. So we've got enough fuel. These engines did just recently go into Willoughby and get serviced and fueled. They are back out here working again. I will run them. I run them until they're down below 900 gallons of fuel, and then once they get low on fuel, they do make a trip back to Willoughby, usually on a train, to get fueled and serviced. So we will come down here, find the end of this train, get coupled on, then we'll set the train up to go. So every time helpers run over the hill on this railroad, I do run the helpers manually. I set the waypoint for the lead of the train and let the computer do what it's going to do with the head end of the train, and I shove on the train manually. I do that with every train that goes over the hill. That might be part of the reason that I run out of time when I'm trying to do things. I know there's ways to cut the engines out, put them in road, and tell them to go the same direction and they will run, but AE seems to be getting dumber than smarter in the recent past. I've noticed some changes in behavior in the AE, which I'm not a fan of. When trains kind of come nose to nose, they will now kind of run right up on each other and then just start honking the horn at each other, and then they'll slowly bump into a couple, and it's like, alright, that seems to be new. Not a fan. This siding, along with all the other ones that I've modified, are about 5,000 feet to a mile long. I tried to make that kind of a standard on the sidings that I extended, just so that I don't have to memorize each one and look at the so I didn't have to real railroad a little bit. Just if the train's under a mile long, it will generally fit in all of the sidings that I've modified. So. Alright, so we've tied on, so now we'll go to our leader. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set him to a waypoint. Actually, you know what? For the sake of the video, let's just road. I'll set it for 35. And the nice thing is now it's mad because there's brakes applied beyond his brake point. So he will. The cool thing about this is the leaders will not try to move until we've released the brakes on the helpers. So the fun thing about this is my time at Union Pacific. I did about 7 years at Union Pacific, and as a conductor. And in that time, I had the privilege of working manned helper sets in Oregon. And so I got taught by the Southern Pacific guys kind of how to do helpers. And I mimicked that a little bit in this game. The physics aren't the same. I mean, the physics are the same, but like coupler stresses and all that aren't currently a problem. So the cool thing is, as soon as I kicked my brakes off, he kicked his brakes off, which when I was taught how to do it, we would lean on the back of the train first, bunch the whole train up. Once we came to a stop, we would then tell the head end that we were leaning against them, and then they would kick their brakes off when they were ready, and then they would control the speed of the train. Once we started moving again, we would bring the helpers out to run 8, and then we'd just sit and run 8, and the head end could control the speed of the train. Oh, he's probably mad because we're probably shoving him against a switch. Because the problem with road, yeah, he doesn't know how to line switches now. So it's one of my preferences is waypoint, because it makes the AE a little more intelligent. So I run the train the same way. Once we're moving, I get the helpers into run 8, and then I just let the head end control the speed. Track speed up the new grade, which is a mod that I did. Track speed is 25 up the whole grade. The max percentage on it now is 3.8. Average percentage is 3.5. Or ruling grade is 3.5. Each of the G40s is good for about 1,000 tons up that grade, plus or minus, depending on condition of the engine and circumstances. We do tend to go up the grade at about 11 miles an hour. So if I mentioned it in episode 4, this is the west end of Nantahala. I did add a little 2-track yard because the industries out here were being neglected, because it was hard to remember to run the local out of Bryson all the way out here and all the way back. So now the road trains do stop and set out all the cars for Hewitt, Wesser, and Nantahala, and then in between trains, I do break off one of the helper engines. One of the helper engines becomes a local engine, and it does run these cars around and spots all the industries. Brings the poles back to this little yard, the pickups back to this yard to be picked up by the east and westbound trains. If I have time to block the poles, I'll block them out so the Andrews trains can pick up the Andrews, and then everything else goes to Willoughby. If I don't have time to block it, I just put it all in there as a chunk, and the next eastbound train picks it up and takes it all the way to Willoughby, where it then gets blocked out, switched out, and then sent off to its different directions. So here at Nantahala, some of the track remains the same, some of the track is different. If you look, that straight track, straight through all those switches to that coal loader, that is the original main line. That is where the original main line was. I've taken out the runaround track. There's another runaround track now down that industrial lead closer to the trestle. The second trestle down there where you cross over where the industries are. And then left a spur in to load the coal thing, because I do have one steam engine that kind of runs around now. That's a new addition to the game. So this all got reworked and dumbed down for the needs of the railroad, and then the main line takes off into tunnel number 4 here, instead of climbing straight up that hill where it used to go up to 4.8% right away. So this is tunnel number 4, the first of 4 tunnels on the grade. I tried really hard to keep this grade prototypical when I laid it, instead of, like I've seen some of the mods where they just kind of shoot straight through the mountain and make it so the track will go, the trains will run, but it's not, it's just a straight shot through. I actually surveyed the whole thing with when I was laying the track, kind of laid the track piece by piece and worked my way up the hill. I actually did it 5 times. Even tried a couple over on the other side of the hill, or the other side of this valley, to the point where I even snaked around. Did one where I snaked around through here, came around here, across the bridge here, tried to gain some altitude and come up, and I just didn't like how it worked out. So ended up on the grade we're on now. Seems to work just fine. It added, removed 2 trestles, replaced 1 trestle with a bridge, added 4 tunnels, and then, like I said, maxes out at 3.8%, ruling grade is 3.5, which is very similar to the other side of the hill, so now my tonnage rating is all the same, regardless of which direction you are going, which makes things a little easier. Looks like we're gonna go up the hill at about 10 miles an hour today. Hopefully these engines don't fault out on us, because 11 seems to be the magic number. Keeps them out of the red on the amps. I think there's a couple videos on YouTube also with trains coming out of this tunnel. I've done a lot of rail fanning right here. I think on average I shove about 4 trains up the hill in a 24-hour day. Maybe 5 if I'm missing one. And they are all big trains like this one. Oh, it's cool. You can just upper left corner. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the video if the head end of the train is way up in that left corner. Just start right there as we go into tunnel 5. One of the cool things about long trains. The other place that's fun to do that is the horseshoe curve up between Bryson and Hemingway. With the longer trains, it's fun rail fanning through there. As our helpers disappear into tunnel 5. We'll meet them again at the other end. Stand here on this little hill and watch them come out of 5. I hear him. I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but I have enjoyed filming this series because it's actually forced me to take a minute and kind of rail fan the railroad again, which kind of takes me back to when the game was first out and I had time to do that a little more. Not that I'm not enjoying the hectic, constant traffic and busyness of it, because to me that's the kind of railroading I came up in my career, so it's funny how the game mimics that if you let it. But it's also nice to take a second and just kind of enjoy what it looks like. I've been kicking around the idea of kind of doing a video of all the power that's currently on the railroad, which if I'm going to do that I should probably do it sooner than later because I'm selling locomotives already. The Jeep 38s are being sold and disappearing. There was originally 12 of them, I believe. I think we are down to 5. I guess let me know in the comments if that's something that would be interesting to folks. Or I may just do it anyway, because I'm trying to have kind of a random selection of stuff to choose from as far as the videos go. Got some short ones on there if you want to check them out. I think there's a couple live streams I did that were recorded and put on. If you've got a couple hours to kill and kind of just want to watch the railroad functioning in whatever time frame is in the video, you're welcome to check those out. I do stream on Twitch now. Feel free to pop over there and follow me at Little Pumpkin King. That's LITTLEPIMKIN, no second P, King, at Little Pumpkin King. Missing the second P in pumpkin, because it's a nickname that was given to me by my grandfather. But I do not recommend leaving letters out of names like that, because then it's hard for people to find you. So, just because it seems cool when you're thinking about it, doesn't make it cool. Anyway, check me out on Twitch, follow me. Follow me on Twitch, you'll get the notifications for streams. I'm trying to do a couple of those a week as I can. I am a contractor currently now, so sometimes I'm home and I can do more, sometimes I'm not and I'll have to do less, but I'm going to try to keep up with it. So feel free to follow me there. You can kind of see how the railroad, because I just stream when I'm just working the railroad, so you can see what the railroad does. I'm working on getting Discord set up, which will be for subscribers. If you subscribe at Twitch, that'll get you connected to the Discord, which can then connect you directly to me. Work out some stuff down the road where maybe some folks from there can join in a stream, or we can chat. Potentially down the road have access to my mods through that. Once I get them dialed in and done, they're constantly kind of changing, because every 10 minutes, oh, I can do this, oh, or I can do that. So feel free to poke around, check that out. It'd be nice to see you guys on the streams. You can chat, I talk, I run trains. Railroad. I'm gonna drop that milepost down. Apparently it's still floating. Like I said, the mods need some touch up, but that's something easy to do, so I will do that. In fact, what milepost is that? 88. Okay, mental note, 88 needs to be not floating anymore. As we go into tunnel number 6, and apparently wipe out that tree. Go meet the train on the other side. I do like this one because the tunnel comes out in a cut, you know, so they cut as far as they could, and then once it started getting too much, they decided to bore the tunnel. I think that's cool. Patience is a virtue, right? That's what they say anyway. I hear some engines coming. Look at them go. There's not a lot of signs left of where the original grade was, though it's up above us the whole time we're down below it, you know, because it's definitely a shallower grade. I was able to remove the 2 trussels from it, so those are gone. Coming into Graham County, I did also move that down adjacent to the main line here. It's more of a reload now versus a connected railroad, so no buildings or details or anything, just 3 tracks to stick cars, and they load them, and then we pick the cars up. And there's never any cars here because I haven't really used it much since. I don't know if I've mentioned, trying to remember if I've mentioned in the previous videos, but mainline traffic and locals in Willoughby have been so busy that I've actually been losing contracts with some of the smaller customers, and that actually included Snowbird Paper recently, so I'm working on getting my freight reputation back up a bit so I can start things at Tier 3, and then I'm going to do an audit of the railroad and fire back up some of the contracts at Tier 3 if I can. Snowbird Paper's probably one of them because it's a decent sized customer. I'm probably not going to fire up some of the smaller stuff, you know, 1, 2 car, 3 car customers. And there are some new industries that are going to be coming online after I finish the mods at Willoughby on an industrial lead that will be east of the yard where the sugar mill used to be. And where my oil refinery is. I don't remember if that was installed when this train went by East Whittier. So I will do videos on that when that's all completed, but that'll all be handled with one job, so it'll be easy to keep up with those customers because it's just a switch job that comes out of Willoughby Yard, goes down that industrial lead and switches all those industries. Those will be modular, so the yard lead, the industrial lead itself will be a mod, and then each of the industries will be a separate mod that attaches to that lead. So in the future, when that stuff's available through the subscription and through Discord, that you can pick and choose which ones you want to use. You don't have to take all of them or load all of them. You can just load in the ones you want. I'm working on that so that it's modular like that. It's taken some time, but I think it's a cool idea because even I may not use all of them, you know, or tastes change, or like I said, I don't have a lot of time to do the work, so the ability to back off on some of it is a great idea, I think. So anyway, that's all in the works. When those come online, I'll do a video on those so people can see it. Again, find me on Twitch and we'll work it out. I'm also talking about, or thinking about potentially doing custom mods for folks through subscriptions and through the Discord access, so feel free to come on over and check that out when I'm streaming. I do post in a Railroader group on Facebook when I'm streaming, and I also post in a couple other Discords. If you find Railroader the game on Facebook, if you have Facebook, I do post in there, like I said, and I do also post when I am streaming. I do announce that I am streaming in there. A partner railroad that works with me, the Green Mountain and Pacific, that is an open to the public server that he hosts open servers publicly. Through his Discord, you get access to me, and then I also announce in there when I am streaming. So feel free to check out the Green Mountain and Pacific. It's a round-robin group that we have in Discord, looking for like-minded operators, and we are gathering a group of folks to multiplay on other folks' railroads. We have a list of about 10 railroads right now, of which we operate on a couple of them, or a couple of them are actually functioning, operating, doing their thing. But always looking for more operators there, so if you're looking for a server and you're in the game, if you find the Green Mountain and Pacific, feel free to join and say hi to K Bloodspitter. Get your foot in the door as we go up the hill. So we're by Graham County, which I just talked through. I'll go back and look at it because I wasn't paying attention to it. So this is Graham County. All the tracks are industry tracks. It'll load pulpwood for you to distribute wherever you would like to distribute it. That is the new Graham County, which used to be up here. Where was it? It was up in here, I believe, originally. The main grade was up here, came up through here. Yeah, we're way down below it for a while. Yeah. And this is my new bridge. Actually, the railroad wasn't that high up because the railroad was right here. Yeah, so Graham County must have gone, I don't remember. It was somewhere in here. Yeah, now it's not. Then when we cross that bridge, that means we're almost to tunnel number 7. I believe is the right count. Yeah. Tunnel 7 is the Summit Tunnel at Topton. Should probably make sure we're lined up at Topton, because it would be embarrassing if we're not. As you can see, our speed is starting to pick up. The head end is crested the hill. So the head end goes into tunnel number, or the helpers go into tunnel number 7. This is the crest of the hill right here. The helpers generally arrive at Topton. They pull down past the road. And they usually stop and hang out at the depot for a minute, let the tunnel clear out from the exhaust. And then I usually AE them back down. So, since they are now here and in the clear and off our train, let's take back over our train and we'll run him down into Andrews. Because AE is not very good at doing that. Not that I'm any better. See? If you aren't tearing up equipment, you're not railroading, right? Trick is to get a good set in the train that you can just gently pull on and just drag them down the hill. On Roto. Now Roto is a modified siding, though it is not a mile long. This is the first one I kind of goofed around with, and I was still learning how to remove and add base game assets, so this trestle was kind of a roadblock in doing that, and then the curve at the other end, there's some signs in the way. I've just never come back to redo it. I don't really use this siding much. It is about 2,500 feet long versus about twice the length that it was in vanilla, so it is useful. The pasture train tends to hang out here sometimes or make meets here with the pasture train, but I just in general don't run mainline trains here and stop them unless I have to. Early mod. And I may come back and fix it at some point, because there are no long sidings between Nantahala and Andrews, so it'd be kind of nice to have one. So I may come back at some point and do that. across the creek and into tunnel number 8. And then out of the tunnel and right across the creek again. These two bridges are now on my radar for replacement. Get rid of the wooden bridges and replace them with a more modern steel bridge is the plan. These two will probably get replaced if that happens. Just replace them all. Time for an upgrade. These bridges are coming up on 100 years old now, so they need to go. Ride this soft set down the hill, which is what I was trying to do in the beginning. Didn't get it to go. It went the second time I did it. Ride this all the way down and yard this train in the receiving yard at Andrews, or what I call the staging yard, which is getting a little full right now. Eastbound waiting to depart, a westbound that arrived in front of us. That we're lined in against. It's about to be a disaster. Wouldn't have been the first disaster on the railroad, that's for sure. And now that there's two sets of power here, what's probably going to happen is this eastbound train is a little over tonnage for its current consist, so probably going to do some power switching here at some point before these depart. So I named this mod Andrews Staging Yard, but basically what it is it's an arrival departure yard for Andrews. Its main function, because of the amount of traffic I get, before I modified the interchange, which we can pop over and take a look at real quick. Before I modified the interchange, I would get multiple interchanges on this end of the railroad per day with the amount of traffic I get. The interchange holds about 180 cars now, so it basically, this interchange and the Silva interchange each get one interchange per day, and then Epps Springs and Alarka Junction tend to get 2 interchanges per day. So this yard became a thing when I was getting multiple interchanges. This was a place for me to just have a switch engine that was here, would grab the blocks out of interchange, drag them up into this yard to block them out, and create the eastbound trains, get them ready to go, and then this would be the departure yard for eastbound traffic, and also the yard where the local, when it would switch the local industries, would put the eastbound cars here for pickup as well. So that was this yard's function. It still basically functions like that. It holds inbound trains if I don't have time to process them or get them down to interchange right away. Then they can hold here and basically wait for their opportunity to go down to the interchange. So here we are. Not the most graceful stop in the world. A little panicky because there's other equipment here. Usually the yard's not this busy, but like I mentioned, these two sets of power will probably get recombined in a set of power to assist that other train up. The passenger locomotive is here and tied onto it, so I'm going to reassess some power on this end. But we have arrived in Andrews. This is where the train will sit. Something will run around the cars at some point and shove them down to interchange. Let's go check that out. Part of the mod for the interchange is I've added this little extra set out here. This set out holds the Snowbird paper cars when that industry is active. The spots and poles get set out here. I've extended that siding a little bit. Gave myself a place to hold. Here is the Y, where the passenger train awaits the return of its power. All I did to the interchange was basically extend, added a track, or no, I didn't add a track there originally for. Reworked this end a little bit, and then just extended it down to about double its original size so that it will hold enough cars. And then gave myself a tail all the way down to the edge of the map, because why not? Tails are good. They're useful. You end up using them even though you don't think you need to. So these are all poles. Joy, joy, joy. So that other power consist will be pulling another train out of here before those other cars can be shoved down here. So these will get blocked out and hauled east, and then a consist will grab each of those 2 trains that have arrived and one at a time shove them down into the interchange, where they will then get interchanged. So that is the west end of the railroad as it sits. I stay tuned for more. Watch for more videos. I appreciate you taking the time to watch through this series. I may do an episode 6 on the Conley branch, as I have modified that as well, and we did kind of skip over that when the train went through Whittier. So watch for that. Stay tuned, and as always, like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the railroad. Willoughby thanks you.